This episode was recorded in April 2025. I really didn't know what to do with it until recently. It's from a book club discussion about my book, Bounce Back Stronger. But the episode really isn't about the book. It's about Buxton Village bookstore owner Gee Gee Rosell. Gigi was the first person to write a check for my books. She was the first one to say, yes, we'll host you for a book club. She's the first to create a space where my words could find community. She did that for so many authors and customers quietly, generously, without any fanfare. Listening back, I hear more than a discussion of resilience by a group of friends on a journey together. I hear the steady presence of a woman who helped us all find our way simply by being in our corner, or in her case, the front of her shop, right to the right where she always sat behind the cash register. I'm sharing this recording as a thank you for her kindness, for the ripple she created that continues long after she's gone. Thank you, Gigi. And here is the show.
I think we want to hear your take on our questions at your choosing which question you want to start with.
So, first, I want to say thank you for reading. You write these things and you're like, you're just thankful somebody read it. So, thank you so much. I don't ever take that for granted. It's good to maybe talk a little bit about why I wrote the book. You might be interested in the path of how I got to the title and all these things. My first book was called We've Got to Stop Meeting Like This, which is a memoir about 3 years of my life where I realized I was being cheated on and divorced somebody. And it was like a day and night thing. It happened very quickly. I was divorced within 4 months. My life had looked very good on paper, and most people were pretty shocked. And then a few months later, I met a man that I fell in love with. He was wonderful, and he died tragically 2 years later. We were engaged to be married, and I loved him so much. And so, two things that really quickly happened. The divorce I shoved under the table and went, oh, I can get through this. I'm fine. It's good. And then actually, my mother died, which I had a long-standing childhood abuse, and with her, it was really hard for me when she went because we had a lot of unresolved stuff. And then my fiance died, so I missed my mother in the middle, which she would, if she was able to yell at me, she would yell at me. So anyway, so I had these three things that happened in 3 years, and like I was starting to say, the first one I was able to shove under the radar. The second one, I was like, I had all these tools that I was getting from getting a yoga therapy certification. So I really thought I had it kicked. I was going to be good. And then my fiance died. And I was, okay, I don't know what I'm doing. I can't put this under the rug anymore. I have to actually go through this. And so that was the memoir. And in marketing that memoir, I did a lot of workshops. The titles for those workshops were Managing Change with Grace, which sounds like a great title, but nobody really wants to do that.
Yeah.
They don't really want to be graceful about going through change, which is why we came up with the title Bounce Back Stronger. And I worked with an editor on that. The reason I wrote the book was because I kept doing these retreats and workshops, and I was going through another pretty major thing, which was when my youngest child transitioned. So I was going through a lot of things, and I was continuing to going back on these things that I learned going through the things from the first book. And I said, I think I got something to say here because a lot of the things that people were talking about left out self-care or they put it at the end. So that was one of my first ideas was like, I really need to put self-care first. And more of that's happening now. And then the other thing I thought I had to say was a lot of the work is very brain oriented, right? It's all about rethinking your way out of this. And I realized through my yoga therapy training and then getting involved in Reiki, and now I'm into astrology, but I realized all of these pieces had a place. You couldn't think your way out of these problems. You had to also involve the body and the spirit and the soul. And so I thought I had something to say about that. And yeah, and that's how I decided to do it. Had the hubris to think that I had something to say. And that's why I did the podcast too, because I knew I didn't have the corner on it. And life kept dealing stuff. Going through this book and writing it, I had a big thing going on at work, and this got me through it. And the podcast got me through it. So I think I've always looked for creative outlets in difficult times. That's why I wrote the first memoir, was to get my way out of a really tragic thing for me when I lost my fiance. And this did that for me again. So that's how I got to write the book. It was really trying to get out of a difficult time, but also I thought I had something to say, and I thought this is a book I could hand to somebody. And I used to hand How to Survive the Loss of a Love, which I still think is a fantastic book. But now I can hand this one to and say, hey, here's another one. And I do that. I give it away for free, actually. Sorry that you bought it. I would have given it to you for free.
One
Go
of the
ahead.
things I liked about the way you wrote the book, we were talking about it earlier, is that you can jump into any chapter. Did you do that intentionally that way?
I did. I had an idea of how the structure would be. I tried to create a structure for it and how, if I was going through a difficult time, how I would go through it. And I knew putting meditation as a second chapter was going to be risky. So I wanted people to be able to pick it up wherever they were. If they wanted to skip meditation, I wanted to give them that option so that they could pick it up anywhere. And I think people do that. So yeah, that was intentional. I originally thought I would create an acronym. So there's a lot of great acronyms out there. And my book editor said, don't do that. It's so old. Don't do that. And I'm so glad I didn't. I'm so glad I listened to her because it would have been ridiculous.
One of the things that we've all talked about your book is how accessible it is to people. It's easy to pick up. It's easy to identify the chapter that's going to help you that day or that minute and to read through it. Of course, once you've read through more than half the book, you begin to get a really good idea about the structure of the
Yeah.
book and what you're going to see. And the similarity of the suggestions, I think, is really wise because it's practice makes perfect, particularly the meditation part. That's not an easy task for any beginner.
No.
And the short meditations actually, I think, are a great way to get into the practice, into the habit.
Thank you. Yeah, I have an aversion to wordiness. So my day job has always been something in communication, relationship management. Right now I'm a program manager. So I'm always trying to get the answer to you in the way that you can understand and implement. So it's a bias that I have. So I'm glad you I'm glad you like that. I have also been criticized for that too, though. There's
It's
not.
also hard to write something, I find, concisely. It's sometimes easier to be wordy, but to get to the point and do it in a concise manner is, I think, a skill.
Yeah.
It is.
I like to think of it that way too. But you should see when I wrote my memoir, that editor, who I also love, was always like, we need to take the project manager out of you. Because you are just, and you're over, and I was over communicating. Because in memoir and in fiction, you want to give room for the reader to get into the scene. So you can't tell them everything. Yeah, that was a challenge to pull myself out and go, oh, I need to give them space to actually have a experience. What? I want to tell them exactly what to do. So learning.
How did you decide ultimately on the lineup of the chapters? You mentioned that putting meditation as the second chapter was risky. Was there additional thinking in how you arranged or ordered the chapters?
Yeah, because I'd done these as retreats and I wanted to give people an experience. And I don't think you could start off with the mind game chapter first. I don't know if you've ever done a book club around the untethered soul, but if you haven't, it's a great one. And it's really hard because people the first time they read it, it's overwhelming and they don't get it. So I wouldn't want to just hand that chapter out on the first in the beginning. You have to work up to it, I think. So that was my thought is like, how can I make this as accessible as possible and build on it? Because you can't talk about purpose when you're still unable to breathe. But purpose is probably the most important part of this whole thing. But you can't get there if you're not really sure there's a tomorrow. So it's really thinking about how you can get through the worst time of your life. And that's what I wrote it for, is for people that, because I kept seeing people get stuck. And I don't know if I wrote about it in this book, actually. I write about it more, I think, in the memoir. But I went to a grief group in, I guess it was probably 2 months after Mario died. And I was sitting around people that had lost people years. They were in it for years. And my hope was that if I could hand this off to somebody, I'm not saying that they won't go through years, but maybe it would be curtailed. That grief process would be a little bit shorter. And that really was a hope for me. We'll see if that actually happens. It's just so hard. And I hate to see people just stuck for so long.
That's been one of our topics ongoing through all the books is the world right now is grieving.
Yes.
And we continue to grieve because the hits just keep on coming.
And how some people respond to it so differently. I think that's been the other thing we've discussed is how can they stay in that place where they're stuck? It's hard.
Yeah, Sharon, you guys heard her. She had so many good
Yes.
comments on that. Just that you can't live in it. And I've been doing a lot of work around the mystics because you just have to rise out of this and believe in a longer situation. I've been doing a lot of meditations around taking yourself away from the earth and that pretending that you're someplace way high up and pretending that you're looking at the whole time span of forever and trying not to get so focused on where we are today. I'm as I wrote Peter Thiel's A Monster today. I can't tell you that I haven't kicked, but I can't live in it all the time. And I think that's why the mystics are so helpful because they think of things just exponentially. They're not finite. Love is forever. Love is going to always bring us back. Love is always going to overcome. That's such helpful thinking in a world that's sharing hate every moment. So believing in that is really helpful for me right now, but I totally get it. Yeah, it's really tough.
Sadly, in today's society, isolationism and grieving seem to be forever, and people have forgotten about love and self-care. And this is the origin of our book club. And people are stuck because they haven't figured out another option, and it's been socially accepted, and so bad behavior continues. And we chose not to wake up every morning and be mad. We wanted to wake up every morning and be positive instead of the negative and the negativity bias that is so pervasive.
And that it's our instinct, right? Our instinct is to always be looking, you guys know this, looking for the worst and to keep ourselves safe because there's danger out there. So it's really an intelligent and enlightened act to think differently than that, even for a moment, much less some large part of your day. So finding those tools to do that is really helpful. And it's really awesome that you came together. And a big one of them is connection.
I think what we are doing is the ultimate rebellion.
Yes.
We are not only verbalizing, but acting out things that decent human beings wouldn't even be thinking.
Yeah.
We're working on gearing our lives in the opposite direction and living our truth. And I think that's the most useful and positive way to rebel, is to live what you believe in spite of.
And find happiness, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
joy for me,
Yes.
I think was probably the weirdest thing to learn as an emotion through the books. And I just didn't have a good vocabulary of the emotions, the feelings in my body. I'm not sure my body did feel that much, except it could feel I certainly was aware of being attacked. And I think realizing one day over, well, a year and a half, maybe even 2 years ago, it was like, I'm starting to experience not just joy, not just trying to pretend to feel happy, not just doing the right things, but actually feel it as where I was. And that has continued because of all the work of the practice that we have been through and hearing it from so many angles. And I think that's what I appreciated a lot about your chapters. And I appreciated the blank pages to write on. I thought was a very good move because it's it's your third chapter or fourth chapter, and maybe somebody hasn't even picked up a pen or thought they could write in a book. And I think the use of affirmations, which I have known about for decades. But what I did find is going through the work through Sharon Salzberg and others and meditation and hearing it from so many angles, and that's where I'm praising you. You don't know what's going to work at the time, but there's so much encouragement in your book to try things.
Yeah. And I think one of the questions was about affirmations, and I'm finding them incredibly helpful now.
Mm.
So I might just speak to also how my meditation practice has changed so much. It's because there is so many different things you can do. And I didn't use affirmations as much in my early practice. I did do meditation. May you be happy, may you be healthy, may you be safe, may you live with ease. So I've always used that one, but I'm using it now all the time because the ruminating thoughts are negative because of what's going on. And so I really have to use it all the time. So if I'm walking anywhere, if I'm stopping anywhere, my new one is all you need is love. And I love it because I think I finally realized, and maybe you guys are way ahead of me, that when I have that negative thought about somebody, I'm only hurting myself because they don't care. So I was doing may you be healthy, may you be happy, may you healthy, may you be safe. And I still do that sometimes. But the all you need is love thing is just as good and it's fun. And I can just go, oh, all you need is love. All you need is love. It just releases my heart immediately. Whereas before I would just stay blocked in it. So anyway, that is something that I think I'm always looking for new ways. That's why I like the podcast. That's why I'm always reading somebody new every day because I always learn something and I can apply it immediately. So I think my practice just changes with what's going on and what works right now for me, which changes.
I love your quote in there to not lead, be the best part of yourself and not lead with fear, lead with love. I think that's such a poignant for what's happening right now in our nation. So we've had some discussions about how compassion and caring can be seen and is seen as a weakness right now in the world instead of what an amazing and positive emotion those are.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think your book has come at a good time for us.
I'm glad. The other one I always do is where's my ego in this? Because I definitely get on my high horse and I get I'm right and you needed to be wrong and I try to do that one. Where's my ego in this? It is it and it never is good. It's never doing anything helpful. I'm not being chased by a saber-toothed tiger. I don't really need my ego right now for much. It never helps me. And I just finished Entering the Castle, which is Carolyn Miss, and she goes into where being humble. Like, how can I be humble in this? Why am I not being humble? And so that's the same kind of way of coming at where's my ego? Because that's where we get. There is horrible things going on, and yeah, they're not great, but me feeling that they have to be wrong and I have to be right, that's not helpful. It's not making anything better. Yeah. I just want to make sure I hit everything. The question, you were raised by a father who was a minister. Do you feel that your faith was your ultimate foundation and the genesis for your ability to recover from so many adverse habits and relationships? I think the spiritual curiosity and interest in philosophy has been really helpful for me. And so that's led me to a lot of different religions, and I really focus on where they come in around love. So where is love in this faith? I think that was it. And I also think the story of Job probably is the key to me getting through everything, I think, honestly, because I always came back to it every time. Here I go again. And then not being a victim either, because we all have these things and connecting with others to understand that everybody has this is the universal experience. But the real curiosity that my father gave me sitting on the floor of his study on how can I look for wisdom to get through difficulty. That was what he was all about. And he was pretty agnostic. He was obviously a Christian minister, but really enjoyed looking at other philosophies. I was not taught that Christianity was the end of it. He was very open to a lot of different wisdom traditions, as we call them now. That was helpful to have that as a base. So that was what got me into yoga was the philosophy. I did not really care at all about the physical or the energetic. Those were all things I had to learn. I was all in my head. And I'm so thankful for getting into my body and then into energy and other things. So yoga was the gateway drug, as I call it. I think it was a good one. The and idea is, I think, a really powerful one, being able to think of two things at once, to believe two things about people at once. I grew up black and white thinking. So the other part of growing up in a Christian household is everything's pretty black and white. And not that I think my father was, but I think the way that religion can be taught, and you're either with us or against us. And anywhere I can find a way to gray things is really helpful for me. And the and is really helpful with that. And it was really helpful for my mother. I think it was incredibly healing to be able to get to the point with my mother that I could see her good side. Because if you think you're like your parent and you don't like your parent, that's really problematic.
Oh, yeah.
So for me to be able to see good in her and to appreciate her good qualities was really important to my healing. Yeah, the and thing is really helpful.
I also like the yet
Yes,
because that exudes hope.
yes,
You can get there.
No matter how deep in the well you are,
yes,
I'm not out of the well yet. It gives you
Or how old you are.
it gives you the idea that tomorrow maybe you'll find the secret door that will lead to getting out of the well.
that's right. Yeah. And I'm a wallower. I wrote it in the book. I love to wallow. I love it. And yet it's really helpful for me. So, yeah. And it was funny. I actually asked a bunch of people about that. And they said, so there's this whole circle or this arc that happens when you have a difficult thing happen to you. You hit the inciting incident, and then you really need to feel all the feelings and then get to the other side, and then you keep going up and down. And what they said is wallowing, you hit the top and then you stay there and you shift off the thing. So you never quite go over to the other side. And I said, you're right. That's exactly right. You're kind of like, I really enjoy this. I want to stay here and feel really sorry for myself. So that was really helpful to kind of hear that I'll remember that. That's when I'm going in my wallowing. The chakras and colors and crystals, oh my, that all came out of my Reiki training. And this shows up in my first book that I thought Reiki was going to be like another little badge on my yoga sash. That's how I came into it. I was like, oh, this sounds like something that would help me with my yoga classes. And it really changed my life. And that's why I met now I actually have a psychic, which is always funny for me to say. And she taught Reiki. And it really did. It changed my life. I had no connection to energy, although I was exuding it all over the place, but I had no idea how it was affecting people, how it was affecting me. So that was really incredible. And as part of that, they did a lot of work on chakras, which again was really understanding those 7 chakra centers. And people can say there's much more than that, but 7 is easier for me to understand. And it made me believe in a lot of the things that I just didn't. I was like, this is so woo, I can't. And I couldn't deny them. I couldn't deny the colors. I couldn't deny what she would always say is if somebody had pain, which side of the body was it and which chakra was affected. And I would do that over and over again with people. And I would go, okay, you're having a problem with your neck on the right side. What are you worried about communicating in the future? Or what are you worried about yourself and how you present yourself in the future? People would be like, oh, I'm having this, blah, blah, blah. And it was like, okay, I can't deny this. So that was incredibly helpful for me. It's been incredibly helpful for me in life in general, is just knowing those things and clearing the energies. Because we are just energy in a lot of ways, energy and water. We believe in the internet. How can you not believe in energy? I don't understand. The energy and the internet is just energy. So I think it's hard not to believe in it. And I think I may have hit everything except for no, I think I hit everything. I think I did.
Are you working on a new book?
I am. So this is the original book. So when I was 35, I lost my memory for about a week. And it was all due to stress. But I always wanted to write a book about it, and I did start writing it, and then I decided to write it as a mystery novel and to kill one of my old bosses, which is really fun.
I like that.
So that's the book I'm working on now, is finally getting that out, and I'm really loving it. And I'd like to do a trilogy called The Killer Boss Murders, and I think it's timely.
Boss Killer Murders,
Huh?
or the Boss Killer Murders.
The Boss Killer Murders, yeah. I just think it's
Identified as
timely.
boss.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's what I'm working on. It's another way to come at the themes. So there's death, there's grief, there's an alcoholic father. It's just a rerun of some of the themes, but in a much more fun and enjoyable way.
Cool.
I know we all thoroughly enjoyed your book, and
Thank
we
you.
thank you for being with us.
Oh,
And
this is a
yeah,
joy.
go down this week and visit me in person.
I would love that. So you're going to be open this weekend?
I'm not formally announcing that I'm there, but you'll be
You can
there.
see your car.
I'll be there every day because I have things I need to do. So if the open sign isn't on, just knock on the door.
I will.
Of
I
the
will. I just
season.
finished the Pema Chodron book I bought there, the Welcoming the Unwelcome. Thank you for that.
Cool.
I
Yeah.
needed that. I'm like, I've got her on steroids. I've got her on like all of my devices, every device.
She's
Yeah.
good. She is.
Yeah.
And your
She really is.
podcasts are really enjoyable. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Oh, I have a good question for you all. So I guess, 3 different guests I could bring up next. So one is Jamie McMillan. She was a welder, a professional welder, got into welding, and is a big proponent for women in the trades, which is an interesting one. Reggie Hubbard, who is the founder of Active Peace Yoga, used to work in Congress as a lobbyist for the Democrats the last go around with this administration, but he's all about peace and yoga, and he's got some really good suggestions on how to navigate this environment. And the other one would be Aruni Futuransky, who we talk a lot about the news and how to survive the news. And she's also one of the ones that comes up with the mantras, the walking mantras. So curious, just taking a pulse, what would you want to hear next if you were going to have those 3 options?
I'd like to hear the welder.
I would be leaning towards the second person because I think one of the things I think you would be a good person to maybe think of a book once you finish your novels about how to stop getting worse. That just seems to align with where you are in your personal journey and what you've put in the book we read. But I think your mission is very strong there. But how do you really get people to just realize you don't have to get worse?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
had a conversation around that last week when we were anticipating your visit,
Yeah.
that your approach to spiritual wellness, because we all see in our daily lives, especially dealing with the general public, he doesn't now, but he was, people are getting worse and they don't know how not to. And we've been saying for several years that nobody's in good shape. And that could be a really accessible book with the title of How Not to Get Worse.
How
And
not to get worser, which is what my kids used to say. How not to get worser. But that's actually, I'm going to type, sorry, I put everything in my notebook and my phone. And I like that, actually.
And I think along with that, how you do your piece. It doesn't have to be huge, but how do you do whatever you need to do or what you can contribute? So lady today, we heard about they're taking Black history out of some schools. And so this woman has made the decision that she's going to teach every Saturday at the public library about Black history. And that's her contribution. It doesn't have to be this huge thing, but how you can make that little piece in your world, like our book club. It's like, how do we not go swirling down the toilet with everyone else? How do we keep ourselves moving forward, trying to be as positive and loving as possible?
And it's like a pebble in a pond.
Yes.
Ripples out from each of us. We've chosen to get better instead of just not get worse. In the beginning, I'm not sure any of us knew that it was possible to do anything more than just not get worse. But we found that we're all getting better.
Yeah.
Well,
we just couldn't get through that. The pandemic just wasn't ending. It was like, come on.
Yeah. We have lives to live. And everyone we interact with has to pick up on that energy, that we're okay.
Yeah. It's modeling. You're modeling it. I think that's really important. I think you can only model people. Of course, I wrote this, but I think you can only model it and love them. And that's really hard to do. Yeah, I think that's
Chairman, I think, that answered Butch's question about it's not our job to change other people. All we can do is our work.
and love them. When Mario was in the neurology center and I knew there wasn't anything I could do for him, but I could love him. It was one of those moments where, and you have it with your kids too, and dogs and all those people that you love. It really is the final thing. It's you just have to love them. And loving people that are going through difficult times and are not really friendly to you is not easy to do.
I heard a very wise elder say once, sometimes you have to start with, God bless the son of a bitch.
Yes, exactly.
And that's true.
Yep.
Yeah, that's all
At
you
least
can
it's
do.
headed in the right direction.
It is. But I do like that. Okay, so we look at the welder and we do Reggie Hubbard, who Reggie's comment is for this times, and I'll stop. But Reggie's comment for this times is that we have to be kind to everybody because the other side isn't.
Nice.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yes.
Yep.
yes.
And I loved that. That was
Mhm.
really helpful for me because they aren't.
No.
There's not a stick of kindness in those folks.
They see it as a weakness. It's
Right.
it's frightening. Yeah.
They've made that statement. Kindness and empathy are weaknesses. That's part of their platform.
And they're saying it to us because they know it pisses us off.
And they're trying to instill fear, I think.
That's right.
also.
So we
Yeah.
can double down and be more kind.
So we double down.
Yep.
We double down.
Double back down.
Yep.
Yep.
I think they're
Yep.
saying it because they feel liberated and that they can say those things that have been hanging around in their heads for a really long time that they thought they couldn't say.
Yeah, they
I
have
think-
permission to say it.
They have permission to say it, and they're being rewarded with positive, in some cases, positive media coverage on
Yeah.
social media and the echo chamber that is out there. And they also know it triggers the liberals. So I mean,
Yeah, they
it's-
like it.
that's
They love it.
It's a double whammy. They do. I don't know. I think that'll ultimately come back. History shows that will come back to haunt them at some point. But how long that takes is a bigger question. I think we would all like for that to happen tomorrow, but I'm quite certain that it won't.
I think we have to be kind. We have to be honest. We have to give to these things. We have to be there for people. And like Sharon Salzberg says, do the good in front of you, no matter how small. And that's all we can do.
Yep.
And you're doing that. You're doing that. I hear you guys. You're all doing it. And it will matter. That's why I'm doing the podcast. That's why I keep doing stuff. Because that makes me happy. And it makes me feel like I'm doing something.
It's resilience. It's all a part of our commitment to resilience.
Yeah. Yeah. And just not feeding yourself with the news once a day doesn't change. It's the same news. It'll be there tomorrow.
Yep.
But really not inundating yourself because really our lives are good in this moment. Our lives are good.
We've all made sure we're limiting our,
Yes.
we've talked about it. So
That's really, it's a good one.
Yeah.
It's hard though, because we're wired not to do that.
Yeah.
No,
But-
negativity bias. Seek out, make sure the danger's not near.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Thank you all very much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
really enjoyed the discussion. Thank you.
So did we.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Me too. Me too.